Joe, thanks for joining me here, dude.
Hey, super excited to be here. This is going to
You
be fun.
bet. You're our second speaker in our online nutrition coaching symposium. And I know as a coach, but also as a business owner, you got quite the story that I wanted to dive into today. So I'm excited to chat about that.
Yeah, let's do it. Ask away.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
quick though, thanks for having me. Like super honored to be here, and hopefully we can help some people out.
Likewise. Absolutely. I'm glad to have you on. The one thing is I Google your name and I see so much around. There's also the man for fat loss and menopause. How did
Man,
you,
that worked good.
yeah. How did you get there? How did you get to that place?
Um, Through this valley of doubt, to be honest with you, right? Because so for anybody watching and wondering, like I'm 31 years old. I'm clearly a
Mhm.
guy.
Yep.
I've spent the last 7 years coaching women, usually 50 plus, but almost always 40 plus.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, man, like I think like many of us have as coaches in the beginning, I had massive imposter syndrome. And I think that was only multiplied by the fact that I was helping a population that I will never be. And so I got a ton of pushback, a ton of doubt until, and I don't know what the turning point was, but until I hit this tipping point of like, okay, I have enough proof, I create enough results, like whatever it is, I hit this tipping point. I was like, no, like I'm embracing this. I am the man, and I'm the man for fat loss and menopause. And I mean, as lame as it is to give yourself a nickname, I'm the one that did it. But as soon as I did it, it stuck hard. And so I just ran with it from there.
I love that. I mean, I think the biggest thing being you give yourself like a title like that, it starts to become true once you say it enough, doesn't it?
You're very right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think that one of my the first version of our nutrition certification, I called the Dr. Marc method because I was, I have a PhD, I'm in an
Yep.
academic sense, like method, that kind of stuff. First 20 times I said it, I was like, what is it? What is this? Right. But like you go with things, have a bigger vision for yourself, and then who knows where you can end up.
Man, I'm super woo woo too. And like, I think if you put those things in the universe, like it gives back. And so specifically for your case, like you put that out there and no, I'm not saying there's like some magical power, but you put that out there and it forced you to find what that method was, which is huge.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I love that. Um, Can we talk a little bit more about, I mean, you talked about the valleys and the pushback. What was some of that pushback like? And you're niching in an area that you're not experiencing. What was some of that pushback like? Was it comments? Was it just like your feeling of going into this space? Explain to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was both, right? Some of it was comments and some of it was my own false reality or my own perceptions of what I thought people were thinking. And so I certainly made my life harder when I didn't have to, right? And I probably chalked this up to like if anybody watched the Michael Jordan documentary, when you start telling yourself stories and you're like creating enemies so that you can push back, like I think that's probably what I did. But
Was
at the
that in a
same
good
time,
was that
like
in a good way though, or like almost a negative way at
it
the beginning?
was no, because it was
Yep.
fuel for me. I was like, no, watch, like I don't care if you think I don't belong here. I've created enough results and I'm going to create more. And so that fueled me to wake up and prove people wrong, even if not as many people were saying it.
Hmm.
But at the time, like there were certainly real life scenarios of pushback. And so like I jump on a podcast. I remember I got on a massive one time. I get on this podcast and I crush. And I'm reading the comments like we all do, is because it was on YouTube and
Hmm.
YouTube's savage. I was reading the comments and so many ladies 50 plus were like, I don't know, can I swear here?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
And so many ladies were like, fuck this guy. Like
Uh huh.
he's never gonna be here. He's 30 years old. Like he doesn't know shit.
Hmm.
And in man, that almost might have been the tipping point because there was like so much feedback at one time to where I was like, well, that broke me. But at the
Hmm.
same time, sprinkled in, there was women that would find value in it and they would actually listen with an open mind. And I was like, okay, so I'm seeing two camps. I'm seeing this group of women, 40, 50, 60 plus, and they're separating themselves into two. There's ones that are open minded and they're like, you know what? Maybe he's not me, but he has created results and what he's saying does make sense. And so I'm willing to try it. And then there's other ones that are like, he's not me because he won't experience it, must mean that he can't help me. And that's fine. I'm never going to win with that crowd. And I think that that's what a lot of people need to think about. So I just went with the fact of like, I kind of say this quite a bit of like, hey, if this is going to piss you off, that's fine. I'm not for you. There's somebody out
Absolutely.
there that is. But for anybody that resonates with me, I love you and I'd love to help you.
Amazing. I think was it part of that turning point when you just dismissed Camp B and you were like, hey, listen, this is never going to work and that's okay. I'll just focus on Camp A and do really well.
I think it really was. Like, that podcast changed the direction of my business. We literally, it was either double or tripled our client roster in the span of a month. And I took over 150 sales calls. And so it's like, look, like, those comments ain't paying the bills and those ladies aren't getting results. Like, the ladies that signed up, we're going to change their life. And because I changed theirs, they're going to change mine. And so that's it. Like, that's how I look at it now.
So cool. I think it's almost like it's almost like the price you pay for helping more people. And if you're willing to like go through that, I mean, it just accelerates things so quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With that being said, you go through this phase, you help tons of women. What are, like, in terms of coaching based stuff, what are some of the things that you've noticed as patterns and trends that, number one, these women are struggling with, and how do you help them? Is there things that you could like point out, and for the coaches in the audience, like, what did you come across? What did you experience? How are you helping them?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and I think that this is going to apply to literally any coach with any niche that's helping anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You just, like, once you decide on your ICA or your avatar, or whatever you want to call it, you need to learn them, right? You need to learn how they grew up, what they think, what they do, how they act and behave. And so what I discovered from my women 50 plus is, man, I mean, yeah, they're 50 now, but when they were 7 or 17 or 20, somebody that they respected their opinion of and valued, they were like, hey, little Jenny, I notice you're getting a little bit soft. Why don't you start Weight Watchers? That's such a healthy way to do things. And so little Jenny didn't know any better. That's the first thing she learned about nutrition. And so now, because she learned it at 7, well, now she keeps it with her at 57. And we have to reverse 50 years of thinking to get her to think, act, and behave in a different way that's going to give her a different result than she's ever got. And so, like, they're coming from these messed up food backgrounds from decades ago. They've been put in a box in terms of like, hey, you got to eat small, like, low amounts of calories. You can't lift weights or you're going to get too bulky. So you might as well do cardio. You have to exercise a ton because more work equals more results. And basically what we do is push back on every single one of the things I just said. I'm like, hey, look, you've been doing these things for years, if not decades. And you just told me you've never been where you wanted to be, right? Yes, maybe you reached it. I get it. But you said like 3 months later, you fell off and you couldn't sustain it. Well, I know what I'm saying is scary. I'm asking you to eat some more food. I'm asking you to move your body a little bit less. And I'm asking you to lift in a similar way that I lift. And I know I look muscular and I know you don't want that, but you're not going to get that result. But while that's scary, it's also unlike anything you've ever done, which means that you're also going to get a result unlike anything you've ever gotten. And that's kind of how we coach and how we explain the process.
Amazing. I mean, that belief shifting stuff, how did you come across, like, how do you get people to see why it's in their best interest to go down a different path?
How did I realize that?
Yeah. Or how do you present it in a way that like people are willing to go down that path with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a conversation, right? It's basically holding a mirror up to the client, which I think a lot of times as good coaches is something we're going to do. But it's like, hey, I want you to look at this. And I understand it's going to be, wow, that's cool. And I understand it's going to be painful.
I think that's on your end, but I mean, whatever you're saying, like, this is a fireworks moment. Okay.
That's
it's going to be
perfect.
painful. Yeah.
It's going to be painful. It's not going to be fun to look in the mirror. But at the end of the day, what you're living and experiencing right now also isn't fun. And it's uncomfortable to live this way. And it might be uncomfortable to live in this new way that I'm proposing. But you need to choose your discomfort, right? One of them guarantees that you're always uncomfortable, which is what you're living now. The next one says, you know what, you're right, it is going to be uncomfortable, but it's not forever. And on the other side of that discomfort is something that you've always wanted. And so I hold that mirror up to them. I give them space to think about it, and I let them make their own choice. And 9 times out of 10, they make the right one. And sometimes, in my opinion, at least, they make the wrong one, which is not take action and not change and continue to live that way. And that's fine. Like, it's okay. I'm good either way. I just want to help people. And I think when you come from that frame, people can tell of like wanting to help versus wanting to make money off of them.
Yeah, there's a clear difference. Okay, that's really helpful. I was gonna say, in terms of, you had mentioned getting them to lift weights and getting them to eat more food. I'm sure eat more protein, those type of things.
Yeah.
What are some of the big, like, tactical things you're helping these women do, and how does it pay off for them?
Man, it all comes down to like lifestyle change and habits. If we're
Mhm.
talking to nutrition coaches here,
Yeah, without a
um,
doubt.
yeah. So I mean, we're gonna tell them, look, you got to figure out what you're eating right now. You got to figure out what you should be eating, and then we need to get away from point A and get closer to point B. You, I mean, for my women, we generally have to double or triple their protein intake,
Mhm.
up to like, I would say 120 to 150 is probably pretty average. And then lifting weights is huge, right? So they don't need to be lifting 5 times a week, 6 or 7 times a week. It's like, let's just go two, 3 or 4 times a week. Let's focus on your compound movements first. I want you to follow progressive overload. I want you to lift heavy, and I promise you're not going to get huge. Um, and it's scary, but they quickly start to feel better. And once they feel better, you get that buy-in from them, and then it's really smooth sailing.
Without a doubt.
I'll switch cameras.
Yeah, all good. What I was gonna, and as you fiddle around with that too, I kind of want to set the frame for the next question. Did you see? Did you see stuff in the last couple of weeks? Stacey Sims was on the Mel Robbins podcast there, which is like a huge opportunity for her, and that's like breaking into the mainstream, I would say, for the most part. But there's that soundbite going around where she had mentioned, like, the one thing women in this demographic need to stop doing is fasted training. Um,
Mhm.
I wanted to get your take on, number one, just that in general, in terms of, like, do they need to stop doing that? But also, if I just saw so much backlash around it. So I thought, if someone like her is going to get a bunch of heat about this, um, I can only imagine you felt similarly going into some of this space. And she's the avatar, right? And
She's
like a
amazing.
researcher, you know what I mean? Like, she's got like all the credentials as well as the person. So I wanted to get your take on fasted training for starters. And was that
Yeah,
clip kind of taken out of context?
I didn't see that clip, honestly, so I can't
Mhm.
speak on that. My take on fasted cardio and my take on just about anything always comes from a personal experience level, right? First and foremost, personal experience. After that, it's like client experience and what we've seen. And I'm not the guy that's ever going to get a client, like a brand new client, and tell them they need to do it my way or it's the highway. A
Yeah.
lot of times people are tied to a certain diet or a certain workout. And so I want to level with them and I want to see, like, okay, well, if you like this and you're healthy doing it, then let's see if we can make it work and actually get you results. And fasted cardio or workouts, at least, is something that we've seen time and time again. What we've seen in my experience personally and for our clients' experience is like, doesn't really do much that's special, right? Like,
Mhm.
I would prefer to give these ladies carbs, complex carbs leading up to a workout, or if they work out super early in the morning, we can do it at night before bed. And I mean, God, they're going to have so much more energy because they have more energy. They can push harder because they push harder. They tear their muscles a little bit more because they do that. As long as we pair it with recovery, they get better results. Plus, they're not miserable and they don't have high cravings.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I think the biggest thing being, I think what happened, like, she was coming from the lens of like hormonally in a different situation. There's maybe like
Mm,
too much stress if you don't eat anything at all. And I think a lot
mhm.
of times, if some of these women are training like men, and just first thing in the morning or avoid it, or maybe they're starting some fasting and stuff, it can be counterproductive for them. So that was taken, like, Jordan Syatt jumped on it being like, here's all the women that are actually fasted training and they're fine with it, kind of thing. Right. And it was kind of a push. And I was like, I think if anyone knows what they're talking about here, it is Dr. Stacey Sims. Like there's something about it. So there's a combination of, like, things taken out of context, as well as she's kind of pushed on, if there's one thing think they need to stop doing, what is it? And that was the answer. So that was kind of like where she was coming from.
I can get down with that, right? And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I mean, yes, foundationally, if we look at science-backed things, there are blanket statements we can use. But across the board, like, it's tough to make a blanket statement. There's always going to be an outlier, and that's where you get pushback from whatever you say when you have a platform like Stacy, right? It's so
Hmm.
big that whatever she says is not going to relate to every single person. And one of the people it doesn't relate to is going to be a loudmouth and say something about it. And that's fine. People are entitled to
Hmm.
their own opinion. but you just have to understand, like, you're not going to win every fight 100%.
Just crazy. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you got to be willing to go there, or you never get to those places in terms of like reach and growth and that type of stuff. Yeah. I was, if I had to press you on the one thing they should stop doing, what would you say in terms of, like, I know blanket statements, that kind of thing. I doubt this will be taken out of context and, pushed everywhere, but what would be the thing that you're like, that's gotta be the thing you stop doing. It's just not going to serve you well.
For sure. Yeah. I would say quick fixes. And I use that as like a coaching term because I think as coaches, we all understand what a quick fix is. I think as a consumer, that is a statement that gets a little bit blurry, right? Because I think that so many women are starting diets and don't think it's a quick fix, right? Because they can't see through the smoke and mirrors. But like basically anything that is demonizing a certain food group, or anything along those lines, we should not do, right? And so whether that's a drastic calorie deficit, aka demonizing carbs, whether that's keto, drastic calorie deficit, demonizing calories at large, keto, demonizing carbs, paleo, demonizing artificial foods, vegan, demonizing animal products. Like, we can't just cut everything in one food group from our life and expect to do it for the rest of our life. So if you can't do it for the next 10 years, you probably shouldn't do it for a day.
Totally. That'd be the thing. Okay. I like that. Do you find, I talking with you and having conversations with you, I feel like you do a good job of getting these clients and potential clients to shift their beliefs around stuff. How do you present that one to them? Is it like the tail end of that conversation around like, hey, if you can't do this for this time frame, what makes you think this time is going to be any different? Or like, how do you approach that?
Yeah.
You were on 150 calls after that podcast. I can imagine you did a lot of belief shifting and conversations around that. So how do you approach it?
Yeah. So the belief shifting really happened on the podcast, right? Like the people that booked a call with me, like their beliefs have already been shifted and they're like, all right, I'm down to listen to more. But on the show, it's really just what I said. Like, let's look at everything objectively and with truth. What you've done for 10 years didn't work. What I'm saying is crazy. However, you've never done it, which means you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You do, however, know the outcome of doing quick fixes, right? And so choose what you want to do. It is basically what it is. And I'm a pretty direct and like blunt person, so I'll literally just say it like that. And again, like, it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yep. Got it. Is there like a buy-in moment after that where they're like, aha, like this is actually working. I can eat these things. I can live this way and it's going to work out for me. Like, what does that look like for them in terms of if we had to map it out?
Yeah. Huge buy-in moment. But before that, we generally have a pushback moment because what we'll do is we generally, cause like, you know this, we'll have so many clients that are eating 1,200 calories a day, Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, they're eating 3,000. Right. And so their weight is just like all over the place. But as soon as we level that out, then we get this consistent spike that just like levels off because maybe they're eating more carbs more often. And now they've gained weight. And so that's where the pushback comes from, is like, see, I told you what you do isn't going to work. And I'm like, okay. And so that's why I preface it. Like, I've seen this so many times. I'll tell them what's going to happen before it happens, which helps to feel
helpful. Without, they know what to expect, right? I think a lot of people can do whatever they're being asked if they know what to expect.
Well, the cool thing is when you tell them what to expect, you're like, all right, here's step 1 and 2, or here's what's going to happen from step 1 and 2. In step 1, you're going to gain weight. In step 2, you're going to lose it and feel better. And so that means if I'm right about the first part, well, I'm probably right about the second. And so yes, I get the pushback. We kind of mitigate it through setting expectations. But then after, when, you know what, maybe even the scale doesn't go down, but they feel better, they look better, they have lost inflammation, they're gaining muscle and losing fat. Well, that's where the buy-in is, right? They're like, Joe, scale hasn't really moved, but I'm wearing different jeans and my belt's 2 notches smaller and my face is slimmer and I sleep better and I'm in a better relationship and my libido is better. And like all these things have changed. Like, that's where the buy-in happens. And it's pretty quick.
Yeah. Amazing. There was a question here. Jen says, how do you get into this space when you're new and have no previous clients? This could be a good segue into, I wanted to ask you about the midlife makeover as well. But if you were starting from scratch in day one, where would you find these people, and what would that process look like, and how would you get this going?
Man, I would love to try that. That's a super good question too, Jen. Um, where would I start? I would start by reaching out to the people that I currently have in my phone, right? My contact list, my personal Facebook, my Instagram, because all those people you didn't market to um, with intention. I mean, you have marketed yourself by simply posting and being yourself, but you've built a large amount of trust in them. And they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And that's what we need to convert a client. But before you have proof of concept, why don't you just reach out, make a couple posts, send it don't just send a couple texts, text your entire phone and be like, hey, I am starting a coaching business. You're one of the first people I thought of. I'm taking on 5 clients, absolutely free. Here are the things that I'm trying to accomplish for them. If these are things that fit inside what you would be after, let me know. Like, there's no strings attached. We'll coach for 60 to 90 days and let's get you some results. At the end of those 60 to 90 days, when you deliver results, you now upsell those people that said yes into paid coaching and you have your first 5 clients. But at the same time, when you get those 5, you're going to fill those slots fast. People love free shit. You're going to get another 50 that have said, yes, I'm in. And you're like, sorry, I took my 5. I'm only keeping these because my client results matter. If I have too many clients, I'm not going to have the bandwidth to deliver what they deserve. And so I'll keep you in mind for later. Would it be okay if I texted you later? Well, now 60 to 90 days later, you send all those people that raised their hands, said, yes, I'm interested for later, the results of what you just got these 5 people. And you said, guess what? It's later. Here's the results I got. Here's what I'm offering. Are you interested? Now you don't just have those 5 clients that were free that converted to paid. Now you have a ton of other people you can convert to clients too.
Without a doubt. And you have that confidence and conviction around like, hey, I got something that's meaningful here and I can do the work and this is going to work for them. And that going into those conversations is a lot easier to, present something to someone when you have that conviction.
Yep. Hugely, right? Because man, I mean, I know for me, and I know for so many other coaches I've talked to or worked with, like, imposter syndrome is so real. But the thing that fights that is getting results, like proving to yourself that you can't just do it for you. You can do it for anyone that comes to you.
Without a doubt. So I think the biggest thing being, and it sounds like getting this stuff started, you're saying there's people around you that already trust you and will go down this path with you. You just got to present it to them.
You just got to ask.
Yeah. And it's tough to maybe build a little momentum, but it's the easiest thing you can do because those people are there. And honestly, the craziest thing, and speaking directly to Jen, they don't know about Marc. They don't know about Joe, but they know about you, Jen. Right? Like this is your opportunity and they're not going to get the help unless you present it to them.
Yeah. And I think that's going to lead me down the next path for you, Jen, and anybody that's relating to Jen's situation, which is you might be averse to marketing or sales or advertising, right? It could feel icky to you. Well, guess what? You have to do that. You have something that can make the world a better place. And by keeping it to yourself, the world's just continuing to get less and less healthy. So by you reaching out, you're doing your friend, your family member, that person in your contacts list, a huge favor. And by doing them a huge favor, that's going to trickle into their connections and networks' lives. And now you're making the world a better place. So like, not only is it a good thing for you to do, like you have to do it.
Without a doubt. Powerful stuff. I know we talked about like you enjoying the woo-woo stuff, but I think it's really, really helpful. I think it's necessary. I think you got to think about it this way. And it can be tough to get to that place, but getting there and the process of getting there is one of the most rewarding things. So it's like, we got to do the work with that and how we approach these things, because that's what's going to pay off.
Massively.
Cool. With that being said, I also wanted to talk about, you put on a massive, huge digital event called the Midlife Makeover, which I mean, might not be the easiest place to start, but could be a thing that people are looking to get the avatar and the right people together and a sense of community and all that stuff. So what was that event like? Tell us about that.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. So I was sitting, by the way, coaches need coaches, guys. And so I know there's a lot of coaches in this audience. You can't expect somebody to pay you money and learn from you if you're not willing to pay somebody above you money and learn from them, right? And so I say that because it's going to lead into this story. But I was working with my business coach, who's now actually a business partner and friend. And we were in a room with a bunch of people, and he didn't say it to me. He said it to the whole room, but he's like, guys, if you want leads, why don't you just run a summit? And everybody was like scared of it. I was like, no, fuck that. I'll do it. Like, I'll figure it out. And so I got home from Virginia. I live in Vermont, and I started planning. Never have I coordinated an event in my life. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did have a decent amount of connections, enough people to where I could get momentum. Right. And so I just started planning. I was like, all right, well, I want this to be a 6-day event. I want it to be 2 to 3 hours a day. I want the presentations to be a half hour. So that means I'll need 4 to 6 speakers a day across those 6 days, up to 36 speakers. Well, I better get to work. And so I reached out to everybody that was in the room with me that day, because I told them, I was like, all right, I'll commit to that. And they all supported me. And so I was like, well, who is in that room that also speaks to my audience? And there's 2 ladies, Denise and Jess, amazing friends of mine now. They both have massive followings online because they had went from fat to fit in their 50s, and women resonated with that. So it's like, hey, I'm going to do this summit. Would you be interested in speaking? They both said yes within like the next 5 minutes. And so right off the bat, I had a reach of 1 million people due to those 2 ladies speaking. Well, now I use that as momentum to get the rest of my speakers. I just created a list and it's like, hey, I'm running a summit. It's for women 50 plus, 6 days long. Here are the topics. Here are the days. This is what's happening. We have a 1 million person reach so far. Would you like to join? I mean, that was easy, right? And every person that said yes made the next yes easier, because my reach grew from 500,000 to 1 million to 2 million. We had a reach of like 15 million by the end of this. Like, I had Chris Powell speak at the event and Jen Gottlieb and like some massive names. And man, like, it was a lot of work, but it went good. We got over 3,000 leads at the end of this. We converted a ton of clients, and we helped a whole lot more people that otherwise couldn't afford coaching, but got free value, and we made their life better and healthier, which in the end, like, that's what we're after.
Amazing. I think what's interesting about it too is, like, it sounds like, in terms of proof of concept and getting some results, it like doesn't sound all that different than coaching. It's like, let's start this stuff out. Then I have something to say, like, hey, these are the people that are speaking. Here's what they've been able to accomplish. This is what we're going to do. Do you want in too? And then from there, it just builds momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Next question is, are you doing another one?
Yeah, I've bit off enough to chew right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
I was going to do a second one, and I probably still will, but not because it would be happening in about 2 months, and I just don't have time to plan that. But I'll do another, just not in the immediate future.
I like it. Well, you know what? The Olympics every 4 years. Maybe that's the cycle.
There we go. I could get down with every 4 years.
Yeah, the Symposium Olympics. I like that. With that being said, if you're checking out the replay and you want some help, and you understand that coaches need coaches, I know Joe and his team have an offer for us too, that you're going to find in our coaching bundle and resources, a $1 certification offer that you should definitely check out. The best way to get that is make sure you register for the symposium. So you're going to find that link down below.
Yeah, I love it. So
yep,
something for coaches, something for clients. But we took our level 1 nutrition certification. We took that course, and it used to be $1,297. We've literally made it $1. So the whole course is accessible for $1. And if anybody's looking for a place to become a coach or just learn how to apply evidence-backed nutrition coaching to your clients, like, I just wanted to make it easy, because again, I think education should just be accessible to everybody.
Amazing. Really, really cool. Okay, well, we'll include that in the resource bundle. So make sure you register, and then we'll go from there. If anyone else, Joe, is just getting this stuff started, is there any other advice you'd give to them around niching down and going where maybe you don't feel necessarily comfortable, but it might be the right thing for you to grow?
Yeah, I had an interesting story as to like getting pushed in this direction. I think most of the time people are just helping the version of themselves from 3, 5, or 10 years ago. That clearly wasn't me, right? I almost got pushed in this direction by a higher power, God, fate, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I consistently just got cornered here, and I was like, you know what? I like this. It's fun. Something's pushing me here. I'm going to do it. So my advice would be, just start and listen to your gut. Like, if there's something or someone that really speaks to you, go help them and see if you like it, right? It doesn't mean you're stuck to it forever. You're allowed to change and be fluid, but whatever's speaking to you, go do it. Whether it's helping the old version of you avoid the pitfalls that you experienced, or whether it's helping your mom or people like your mom avoid things that you saw your mom experience, go help that. Just start. Like, just start. You're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to have a lot of people judge you, but that judgment comes from them being afraid to do the things that you're currently doing. And they're just putting that on you. So start, stay in your lane, put your blinders on. You will win.
Amazing. Really, really helpful stuff, Joe. I'm going to link both up. Also, where to find you on social media down in the description below so people can check that out, send them a message, chat with them, ask them some questions. And I really appreciate you coming on today.
My pleasure, man. It was super fun. Thank you.
Awesome. You bet. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Now, as great as all those tips are, maybe you're still wondering how to start or grow your nutrition coaching. Here's what I want you to do. Go to the first link down in the description below, and you'll get all the details on our Nutrition Coaching Academy certification. It's a 90-day program that'll give you everything you need to start nutrition coaching or to take your nutrition coaching business to the next level. Check out all the details down in the link below, and thanks for watching.